Okay, so it's that time of year again where some people experience joy. But we are here to tell you about which audio products were the best of the year. That's right, it's our 2025 Product of the Year Awards. And I have the gang here with me. We have listener, Cameron, FC Construct, and obviously myself. And we're going to tell you what our favorite audio products were of 2025. So without further ado, let's get going with the video. So we're going to kick things off again this year with our favorite audio experiences of the year. So this could be anything from going to a trade show to a crazy setup that we heard to just a moment, a vibe. What are your guys' favorite audio experiences for 2025? Let's start off with Griffin. What do you got for me?
Favorite audio experience of the year was getting back from a week-long trip to Italy that I took with my partner. And when I got home, there was Truthier Pure waiting for me. And unboxing that was probably my favorite audio experience of the year.
Not listening to it, just unboxing it?
Just unboxing it, yeah. Like the feeling of having a hand in a product that now people could buy was, yeah, pretty cool. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think mine, I had quite a few great experiences this year. I went to a bunch of different can jams, but I think if I had to pick, it would be going to Shenzhen International Audio Show. Just because I think, you get to see a completely different culture and experience what they are like, and you kind of learn, they're not so different from us, right? So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a show that I'm sad I missed because it seemed like a lot of fun. Cameron, what's your favorite audio experience of the year?
I think it's got to be the final Munich high-end. Warsaw AV Show was actually pretty close second this year, but Munich is always special. I had my birthday there this year as well. Yeah, Munich is something to behold, not just for the audio stuff, but for everyone that we get to hang out with that we don't usually get to see. So that's always a special one for me.
Well, was there any particular thing at Munich that you that stands out?
Getting Zeos drunker than I have ever seen him before. That was good fun.
That was gonna be my pick. Because the show itself was good, and it's always good. But for me, my favorite sort of audio related experience was after the show for your birthday, going out with Zeos and the gang to various different cocktail bars, and just getting a chance to have the more sort of casual social vibe of that event.
We were still talking about headphones and DACs and stuff, so it wasn't all that unusual, but we were just much more intoxicated whilst doing so.
Let's move on now to our favorite products of the year, our individual picks for this, and let's kick things off with once again, Griffin. What do you got for us?
For my runner-up of this year, I'm going to have to give a nod to the Hi-Fi Man Edition XV. Anytime a headphone company that makes no headphones you like puts out one headphone you like, I feel like that's something that deserves recognition, and the XV is a headphone I like quite a bit. It is probably the headphone I use most nowadays. It's just a chill, warm headphone with full bass extension that fits pretty well on my head, and I just put it on and listen, and I'm having a good time. So that'll be my runner-up. I do really quick want to give an honorable mention to the Head Audio D1, which is a solid headphone. I wouldn't say it's my favorite headphone of the year, but it is one of the headphones that came out this year that is very solid, very well-rounded, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. And I certainly did enjoy it. My product of the year is going to something I don't think many people have heard yet because it hasn't really hit stores yet. But I have a unit here and I've been testing it, and it's really something special. So my product of the year is going to be the Prisma Lumen, which is a $1,300 IEM from Australia. And it just kind of ticks every box for me. It's one of the most comfortable IEMs I've used. It is easily the best sounding IEM I've used. It looks great. It has a nice accessories package. And overall, I can't really find many real faults with it. In a year that I was really hoping would be a year for some exceptional IEM releases, and was then disappointed when I didn't really hear many that I loved, the Lumen came in right at the end and snagged product of the year for me because it sounds exceptional.
I was just going to ask Griffin if you could describe, would you say it's neutral, V-shaped, bassy, mid-rangey?
It is probably the first neutral from top to bottom IEM I've heard, period. Slight bass elevation, but neutral mids, neutral treble. I think this is the kind of IEM that people are going to be copying in the years to come, kind of like people have been doing for the Mega 5 EST and Storm for the past 2 years. So yeah, really, really exciting product.
Cameron, what were your products of the year this year?
I think the first two are actually going to be the same as Griff. I've got to give a shout out to the D1 just because not only is it just, I think, a solid headphone, it's, I think, showing that the industry is moving in the right direction, and that companies are starting to realize that, oh, actually, if we start making stuff that sounds normal and more correct, people will actually like it. We don't need to do the party trick stuff or the slightly weird tuning to try and make it sound more impressive on first listen. And that's something I'm a fan of, and I hope it continues. In terms of my product of the year, I'm probably going to also have to lean towards the Edition XV. It's just a super enjoyable headphone at a price that makes sense. I think it looks good. They've made some comfort improvements from previous models. And whilst I do personally like Hyperman's tuning on most of their models quite a bit more than Griffin does, it's just one that has, again, moved in a direction that I think a lot of people are going to prefer. It's just not quite as in your face in the upper treble, and it just sounds very enjoyable to listen to, whilst being good value as well, with great bass extension, which is not something that can be said for many headphones at all. So for me, I think that's probably going to have to be my pick for product of the year. And then as an honorable mention, going towards the source gear side, because I am the DAC man, I've got to bring about the Crinier Protocol Max. Having a dongle DAC and amp that is that clean, that powerful as well. It is far more powerful than most portable devices, even battery-powered ones, with features like EQ and stuff built in as well, which, whilst that's got some slight quirks at the moment, they are working on it and are bringing some software updates to improve it further. It just is one of those things where it makes you say, I can't really see much reason to get anything else unless you're looking to spend a bunch more money.
Yeah, all of those choices are exceptional. Yeah, full agree on all of them.
Caleb, what's your products of the year?
Yeah, this one's tough. I actually think there are a lot of really great products this year. It's pretty hard to pick a few. I'm gonna go with one that you hate for my honorable mention, and that is the Audio-Technica ADX 7000. It's obviously a high-end, somewhat esoteric headphone, but it's bringing back, I think, a really interesting sound from Audio-Technica. I think it's way overpriced for sure, but I feel like that's the same for any high-end headphone. It's just overpriced. And I don't think it's a headphone that everybody's gonna love. I do think there's some part of it that's gonna be pretty divisive, but I do think that a lot of people will be taken by it. And I've certainly seen that myself, where I've gone to a few of these shows in person. As soon as people try them, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy one on the spot. And I know a couple people who have bought one on the spot. So Audio-Technica ADX 7000.
What are your favorite pads for that?
Both of them are good. One of them is like more balanced, and like I thought that was already pretty good. And then you switch to the other one, which is definitely more V-shaped, more like fun and bumpy. But I enjoyed the more V-shaped one just because it's more energetic. I think my runner-up, I'm gonna cheat here. I'm gonna go with the Truth Ear Pure and the Cranier Daybreak. The reason for that is because I think they are IEMs, well, at least with the Truth Ear Pure, I think it's unique in that it provided a different option to the market that wasn't really being met. I don't think really any other IEMs have really met that either. And I really do commend the Truth Ear engineer for doing a bang-up job with the treble with just the 3 valence armatures there. He didn't have to use any fancy like EST or, the fancy new microplanar drivers in there. He just did it with pure BAs, and he did like a fantastic job. I think it's one of the best treble extensions of any IEM out there. And then the Cranier Daybreak, mostly because, it comes in at a price of $180. It has a very tactful, very reasonable tuning. And I like that IEM because when I go to shows and I show people new IEMs and I'm on a booth or whatever, I'll say, try this IEM. And it takes people, who've been in the hobby for 10, 20 years, listening to headphones, and they completely forget about IEMs. And now they're seeing what an IEM can actually do at such a price, right? And I think for me that is why I really like it. And I think it's a great reference set, even though it's not, my personal favorite IEM. I think there's better IEMs. I think it's a fantastic IEM. For the best product of the year, so I was thinking about this. I kind of want to also say Edition XV because I do think it's a very good headphone. And the price is just fantastic for it. But since you two already said it, I'll cheat and I'll say the elephant in the room, which is a Sennheiser HDB 630. And the reason for that is not because I'm like in love with that headphone, but I think what it represents is a sort of a shift towards headphones where people acknowledge, or its creators acknowledge that, we should be able to EQ our own headphones, right? And there's a lot of technology that's going in there, and I think we're going to see that shift move forward in the future. I don't think this is going to be a product of the year that's going to stay product of the year for very long. At least it's going to be, forgotten with such successive iterations, but at least for now, I would say it more so less than its sound and more what it represents is what I would pick that for.
All right, so now it's time for me to give mine, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and it is a very tough choice because there were a lot of actually very good products that came out this year. For my honorable mention, I am going to give it to what is actually my favorite ANC headphone of the year, which is what I'm wearing right now. That's the Bose QC Ultra Gen 2. I actually think this is if I'm thinking of the category of noise canceling headphones, this is the best one because it's also very good at noise canceling. And with those filter adjustments that you have and the snapshotting of what it does when you turn it on and adjusting for your ear anatomy, that's all really cool tech, and it's a good implementation of what is, in my opinion, a very, very sensible product. My runner-up is going to be the Head Audio D1 right here. I do use it all the time, and I was just doing some more A/B comparisons with some other headphones, some other high-end headphones, and yeah, it does very well. And to kind of echo what some other folks were saying, it's nice that this kind of thing, this more normal kind of sound signature, is being attempted more rather than the crazy, colorful, vivid, esoteric sound signatures that exist in the high end. And the idea is that there's still more room to optimize great sounding, balanced, neutral leaning headphones. And I think the D1 does exactly that. And also the comfort on it, like the ergonomics, the mechanical design, and the repairability, like just all those good ideas going into that product, make it rank very highly for me. And my product of the year is definitely going to be the HDB 630 from Sennheiser for similar reasons to what Caleb said. It's not because it's the best sounding headphone of the year. I think it sounds good, but the fact that they also gave you parametric EQ, all the app integration and features that it has. The ANC performance is decent. It's not as good as what you get here, but it's okay. And the other thing is that they give you the BTD 700 Bluetooth dongle thing. And what they're doing with that, as Caleb said, what it represents is a shift in understanding of what people actually want in this space. And it's making it so that these ANC products can eventually become a person's only headphone. It's not the same as just plugging something in wired, but things are moving in that direction. For all those benefits, what you get with the HDB 630, it's kind of remarkable that this was developed and now exists in the market. That's my product of the year. Now it is time for us to get into our fun category of the disappointments of the year. And there are some. There very much are some.
Well, there's an Audivina LE, but I don't know if I had high hopes for that. So
no, that can't really be the disappointment. Originally, I think I was going to put the Kali HP one, the Highland Park, in that because Kali is a legendary brand for great speakers and good value, sort of studio monitors, and a ton of really smart people behind that brand. But the HP one didn't land for me. But then we got a product that everybody was so incredibly excited for. It was supposed to be the chosen one, and it ended up being not great. And that's the Apple AirPods Pro 3. And that, to me, is by far the biggest disappointment of the year. What are your guys' other picks?
I think the AirPods Pro 3 in terms of headphones kind of has to take it for me. That's going from such a high to, well, it's not even that it's such a low, it's just that it's nowhere near what the previous one was. Obviously, they've made some pretty massive improvements in terms of ANC and stuff, but just the fact that they just didn't get the tuning right seems to be... I don't even know, because they've got some incredibly talented people there.
Yeah, I think just the level of hype that there was for the AirPods Pro 3, resulting in not only slightly worse sound quality, but I think for a lot of people, slightly worse comfort, meant that it was just worse enough that a lot of people just ended up outright preferring AirPods Pro 2. And yeah, I think if the discussion is one of the biggest disappointment of the year, the AirPods Pro 3 is definitely mine as well.
FIO FT17 as well, that's potentially worth mentioning.
Oh, you mean FT13?
FT13, sorry, yeah. The FT13...
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst headphones I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, and as a follow-up to like a really hyped headphone, that does make sense as a big disappointment.
I do have one mention in the source gear category, which was the Topping Centaurus. I was really hyped for that because it was meant to be using one of the most accurate R2R DACs you can get, made by Holo, with none of the software limitations that the Holo DACs typically have, and then they just screwed up the software, so it just behaved really weirdly, and it was going to have EQ and stuff in it. It was just going to be kind of, for me, like just get this does all that you want. It's got all the subjective and objective bits. But then it was just kind of broken. I have heard that there has been a firmware update which fixes a lot of the problems, but unfortunately the way that they designed it, I literally cannot put it back together without specialized tools, so I don't know.
I have another one that I add to this list, not because it was particularly hyped, but just the fact that it occurred is a disappointment, and that is the return of MQA, everybody's favorite formats.
Yeah, that's true.
But another one we might want to say that Spotify lossless is on this list as well. Yeah, I don't. This is more Cameron, your wheelhouse. So would you say that Spotify lossless is a disappointment of the year?
I would say so. It's still an improvement from what it was. Just to be clear, it is absolutely much better than what they had previously. It's just such a shame that they just didn't really get all that close to offering what all the others have. And being that Spotify is now more expensive than something like Tidal, I was hoping that it would be a bit of a slam dunk. Great, I can have all my lossless, iRes, output it properly, get the Spotify's great recommendation algorithm and stuff. But no, they didn't quite manage that. So I was pretty disappointed with that one for sure. The MQA one, I don't even know if that's disappointing. It's just, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? But
I hope we teach them one more time.
I'll have to get some of those products which have the new MQA stuff in and see what's up.
I agree with everybody. I think my greatest disappointment would be the Apple AirPods Pro 3. Like everybody, I think it's just, I don't think it's even that it sounds bad. It's that the hype for it was just through the roof, and yeah, they just kind of dropped the ball. If they changed nothing other than improved like some other, tech bits, it would have been fine.
But do we all have like a consensus pick here? The Apple AirPods Pro 3 is disappointment of the year. Do we all feel that way?
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that. Yeah.
Let's now get to our product of the year consensus, and this is where we get to fight. How do you guys want to do this?
I mean, is there going to be much of a fight for the source gear?
I can just be the DAC dictator on that one. Krongle, congrats.
So our amplifier / DAC of the year is the Cranier Protocol Max.
Great value, great features that are hopefully going to be improved further shortly. And it's just one of those ones where, as I said earlier, at that price, it makes it hard to justify many other options. And that's whether you're using it as a dongle, DAC, and amp on the go, or if you just want a DAC. It's no reason that you can't just use it to feed an external amp as well. I did that for the review. Yeah, just a solid product.
How do we feel about IEM of the year? I know that you really like the Lumen, but I think you're the only one.
Yeah, you guys haven't heard it. I don't think it should be in contention. I think it should probably realistically be between Daybreak and Pure. I don't want to give too much input on this. Like, obviously I don't make any money on Pure, so I'm not biased financially, but I am biased in that, obviously I helped tune it, so I like where it ended up a little bit more than Daybreak. I will say the Daybreak is like way more comfortable. It feels a lot more full range because of its kind of tipping up at the sub bass and the upper treble. So for people who want that experience, I think it's a lot potentially more complete sounding. And I actually think the treble not being as prone to like the length mode of death is one of the biggest downsides of Pure. It still does have that kind of punishing resonance for me around like 7.5 kilohertz.
But the same is true for the Daybreak. So at least for me,
you guys are just weak. Weak genetics.
Yes. Or too strong genetics. We don't know. For me, the best IEM of the year, I would also consider those two. It is the Daybreak with specifically the coffee tips, because it shifts the ear gain to a more appropriate spot for where the rise is.
It's the Daybreak once we introduced the coffee tips.
They're not bundled in coffee tips with Daybreak, right?
No, they are.
They are now.
It's not.
They are after
decaf.
our review.
It's decaf, so they're not the hideous beige color.
I guess the Daybreak now, right? Because it makes sense that they would put those tips on. Caleb, did you have any others that you want to consider?
The other high end, there's some high end stuff that were pretty good, but I'd probably go Daybreak. Like the Pure, like I really like the Pure, like given that it's $80, like it's so cheap. And it does, like I said, I think it does something very unique in the market. Like there's a lot of IEMs that are kind of like the Daybreak now, but there's not really an IEM that's kind of like the Pure. I would still go the Daybreak just once again for the reasons I articulated before. For the price, it really represents what IEMs can do, like a modern IEM can do, and then everybody has tried it who's has been pretty impressed, right? I also think it comes with a pretty like substantial accessory package, so at least from a value perspective, it's not bad. Yeah,
I'm happy to throw the endorsement behind the Daybreak for IEM of the year. Again, it's more comfortable, it's more full range sounding, it's still a neutral-ish IEM. I don't really have many problems with it other than the bass and treble. So yeah, I'm down to make that IEM of the year.
So now it's time for best wireless headphone of the year, and there are a number that came out that were pretty good. There was the Cloud 3 Wireless S, there's the Bose QC Ultra Gen 2, there's the Sennheiser HDB 630, the Batiste MG. My pick for this would still be the HDB 630. Again, even though I think the Bose QC Ultra Gen 2 is a better noise canceling headphone, the HDB 630 is just a more complete package. That's just product of the year overall, I would say. What do you guys think?
I have not yet heard the HDB 630, which, hey, Sennheiser, hit me up. I have heard the Batiste MG, but just from everything I've seen in terms of the objective data and the feedback on it, as well as just some of the features like that included dongle, that I wish more stuff was doing that. I'm going to say that I would be shocked if once upon hearing it, the HDB 630 didn't win out for me over the Batiste MG.
So I haven't heard the Bose. It sounds as there's a lot of really good things about it. I think I would obviously also go with the Sennheiser HDB 630, given, what we've discussed already. Once again, I think it's really the fact that it has that parametric EQ on it. I don't think the Bose has that, right, Andrew?
No, the Bose has 3 filters. The nice thing is that the filters are in the right spot, but you don't have nearly the customization.
I think the key here is really that, like we talked about, the watershed moment is not that it sounds, fantastic or anything. It's that you can make these wireless headphones as good as almost any headphone out there because of the ability to use DSP through the app. Like, I know when I put it on, I thought, yeah, this sounded pretty good, but it was like probably like a treble peak somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where it was, and I just went in the app, I just swept it, I'm like, oh yeah, right here, and I'm done, right? Like, that is what I like about, where we're going forward with these wireless headphones. Honorable mention, I'm actually going to throw one here just really quickly. The Sennheiser HDB was the best wireless, but honorable mention to the CMF Headphone Pro. I know you didn't really like that one, Andrew, but I thought it was for $100 and out of the box, yeah, it was fine. And nothing's a, reputable company. It's not like some random, no name like Amazon thingy, right? Just if the app had PEQ, it'd be better. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I haven't tried a ton of wireless headphones this year, but I do have a 630 in right now, and I do wish it had more bands for EQ, because I have to waste quite a few bands just fixing the treble on my head. And the mid-range, I think, is a little bit more of a minefield, specifically in the upper mid-range, than some of the reviews I think have mentioned. But all of that said, you actually do have the tools to fix those things. So for me, yeah, HDB 630 as the wireless headphone of the year, because of what it represents as a move towards neutral stock tuning, yeah, but also the ability for end users to shape the sound how they want. It's a pretty easy choice.
Now it's time for passive headphone of the year. So not wireless. There were some great releases this year for that too. Like we talked about, the Edition XV coming out was really well received. The HE600 was well received. The Head D1, and then some of you guys also really like the high-end Audio-Technica one. Are there any others that we mentioned?
In terms of passive headphones this year, I can't say I've heard a ton either, mostly because I didn't get to go to many audio shows. Caleb and I don't think either of us would realistically put the ADX 7000 above the others in terms of like product of the year contention, right?
No, I wouldn't put the ADX 7000 there for sure. Like, I mean, I really like it, but 3500 is a lot, and I think there's enough divisiveness about it if you listen to it that some will really like it, some will be like eh. But I think if we were to like really give like a true like product of the year, I think it really comes down between the HE600 D1 and Edition XV. And for me, I would go the Edition XV, mostly because it's priced so well. It's $400, right? Like everything else is like double the price. And I like the HE600 a little bit more, but not for twice the price. I think the D1's really good, and I think it does some things timbrally that I like, just gorgeous. It's just delicious. But there are some parts of the lower treble kinda not great for me. So yeah.
I wish that the HE600 had been like closer in price to the Edition XV, right? Because then it'd be like a more fair comparison.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think it's like they just felt because they were able to put HE6 in the name that it gives licenses them to price it higher. The performance itself is more Sandara-like,
You know what grinds my gears is that they name it HE600 and they price it at $800. Just price it at $600. So that I don't have to think about it. Every time I go to like a show, they're like, oh yeah, here's the HE600. Oh yeah, this costs $600. And I start recording and I'm like,
and that would
no,
make sense too. Like it could be the HE600.
Exactly.
I think for me, I agree with Caleb. It's got to be between the D1, Edition XV, and HE600. I like the HE600 as a headphone more than the Edition XV, but I just can't ignore the value and the fact that the Edition XV is more comfortable. I think it's just going to fit a lot of people in a way that Hi-Fi Man headphones typically haven't. It's just such an easy recommendation, especially for people that, may not be, maybe newer to the hobby. And that alone carries so much value. The D1, I love a lot. I'm also the same where I do need to adjust a little bit in the treble, whereas like the Edition XV, I just don't really find the need to EQ it at all unless I'm just adding bass. So I'm torn between the D1 and the Edition XV, but I think I've got to lean towards the Edition XV.
The Edition XV's opposite issue, right? You just got to add a bit more treble.
I actually found a bit of a peak for me with the Edition XV in the upper treble as well. So for me, it was kind of the inverse, right? Where I normally don't have those kinds of problems that high in frequency, but it's because it was so much warmer and darker for the rest of the treble that just stands out to me a bit more. But I have to agree with you guys. Like I'm in exactly the same boat as what Cameron said, where I do prefer the HE600 over the Edition XV, but not enough to justify twice the price. And I also prefer the the cup design for the Edition XV. So between the two, for me, I would probably also give the nod to the Edition XV. But I also, for me, the D1 is probably the headphone of the year, just because it kind of ticks all those other boxes as well in terms of the mechanical design and the repairability and all the rest of that. I think it looks really cool. So it's a tough choice, but I would give it to the D1 personally, but I could just as easily give it to the Edition XV.
Yeah, this is frankly not the position I thought I was going to end up in. I like both the D1 and the XV. I haven't heard the HE600. There's basically no way I would like it more than the Edition XV. The Edition XV's downsides are that it is a somewhat underdamped headphone, so there is kind of a modal response in the mid-range, and it is a little rocky as you get into the treble, and it is a little bit overwarmed. The D1 has the issue of maybe a little bit too much treble for some people, maybe a little bit too much upper mids for some people. I don't love the headband comfort on that headphone, and it is twice the price of the Edition XV. I'm thinking back to something that Caleb actually said about the Daybreak, where what he likes about the Daybreak is that he can hand it to someone and it gives them a really good idea of what audiophile IEMs are capable of. And I feel that way about the Edition XV. Because the bass is fully extended, the mid-range is reasonable, and the treble is detailed, but it's not crazy like some of the other Hi-Fi Man headphones are. I feel like I can just hand it to anyone who's a normal person, and it'll be probably one of the most comfortable headphones they've ever worn, because the ear cups are huge and it has a suspension strap, for a person that's used to consumer headphones, gaming headsets, stuff like that. But it'll also probably be the best headphone they've ever heard. The D1 has a lot of good stuff going for it too, but it's more expensive, and I prefer the sound of the Edition XV. So I think for me, if it has to be one of them, it's going to be the Hi-Fi Man Edition XV this year.
Wow, Hi-Fi
What have
Man
you done with
sweet.
listener recommending a Hi-Fi Man headphone? To take us out, I think now we've looked back at what came out in 2025, I'd be curious to hear what you guys are most excited to see in 2026. What kind of things or developments or particular products are you looking forward to coming out, or ways in which you're hoping the industry might move next year?
I don't know if this is going to happen, but I would love to see wireless open back gaming headsets with DSP. That's what I want. The Cloud 3 Wireless S is one of my favorite headphones that came out this year, and it showed what they can do when the handcuffs are taken off. The Maxwell, really well known for basically kind of setting this trend, and there's other ones that came out as well. And I just think because of the innovations happening in that space, I would love to see them take a stab at wireless with DSP in an open back. Give it to me. Let's make it happen.
I could get on board with that.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
definitely
about
one of the things I want to see next year.
It kind of you think it doesn't make sense because it's open back and open back seems like the wrong thing for wireless. And I think for the gamers out there, many of them are wanting to isolate as well. But for those of us who are, sat at a desk all day and want the benefits of an open back, but also want the benefits of wireless and also the low latency dongle stuff, that's the perfect kind of product.
That reminds me actually of the Hi-Fi Mans, because they are the Bluetooth or the wireless Hi-Fi Mans now, right? And I got a chance to play around a couple of them, and I will say, open back wireless has changed a few things for me, at least the way I use my own devices. When I work from home a lot of the times, and I'm starting to really enjoy just not having the wires, right? And so yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I think for me, for next year, I'm excited for because I think wireless open headset with DSP probably isn't going to happen next year. I just don't think it's very likely, unless it's in the gaming space and they pitch it as something specifically for spaciousness and soundstage. I think something that I'm excited for that is a little bit more realistic is for the Prisma Lumen to come out, for people to hear it, and for there to be hopefully enough hype that other brands start doing something similar to that. The last 2 years of the IEM market have felt like banging my head against a wall waiting for people to stop copying the Mega 5 EST and Storm, and I'm ready for different versions of that signature to exist. So I'm hoping next year is when the IEM market, for lack of a better term, just kind of grows up a little bit and starts doing some different stuff.
I think for me, it's just a case of more normal sounding headphones, please. It seems like manufacturers are catching on to that, and in many cases doing a very good job, as seen by stuff like the D1. And I just hope that that continues and that things get refined further and further, and that we start to get close to stuff being just as I would want it to be, I think is the best way to put it. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that trend continue.
Wait, you mean you don't want headphones to be fun? I thought headphones were supposed to be fun.
I like fun headphones. I just don't want all of the headphones to be fun. I want normal sounding headphones. I still listen to my Abyss 1266 or like ZBF Atrium and stuff pretty often. I like fun sounding headphones, but when everything is different coloration, strong colorations and party tricks, it's not as fun. I don't want everything to be super fun and weird. I want some normal stuff because my fun, happy place for the most part when I'm just doing my normal listening is hearing music as it's supposed to sound, or as close to that as possible. And so I'm hoping that the trend towards that, or more options that provide that, does continue.
And on that, I think we can end the video. Let us know in the comments below what your picks were for 2025 and what you hope to see in the future. As always, these videos are brought to you by headphones.com. If you found anything that we said here useful, valuable, interesting, or if you want to read some of our articles, check out headphones.com. That'll be linked in the description. And you can also chat with us individually at our forum threads at forum.headphones.com, or connect with us in our Discord, also linked below. Until next time, see you guys later.